Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Hope you had a great weekend, restful, even though there were a lot of things that were happening. But okay, as we often do on this program, we're going to concern ourselves with the 2023 election. And as you know, there was an unveiling of the Pan-Nigeria agenda of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the presidential candidate of APC. And to look at that with us in studio here, Comrade Ayodele Adewale, Organizing Secretary, APC in Lagos State. As always, it's a delight to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, our pleasure. And we also are privileged to have via Zoom Nigeria's ambassador to Burundi and patron Southeast APC Asiwaju Shettima disciples. Good morning, Ambassador.
To you, and I'm happy to be here.
Indeed. Excellent. Well, I just introduced you as the ambassador to Burundi. Are you on home? I don't know what ambassadorial people call it. It can't be leave of absence because I imagine they still are official duties, yet this is important as well. How are you juggling the two?
No, it's important that even ambassadors recognize that once in a while you have duties and things to do at home. Inauguration of the Bola Tinubu Shettima disciples, which I'm the patron. So it's actually I'm actually the national patron. It's not just Southeast. So we inaugurated it 2 days ago, and very soon, and about a week or thereabouts, I'll be back at post.
Okay, Ambassador, we'll be right back to you. Well, Comrade Adewale, I would say everybody in the country, not just everybody in APC, would have been looking forward to the day of the unveiling. The chair, it was the president, no less, that was the chair, and he's like, when you look at it, he's the overall leader of the campaign. As the most senior APC person, so he's totally behind it. So I suppose what we'd like to do is look at the key points of the unveiling, Asiwaju's plans that he presented to the public. Now, of course, there's so many places. I don't know what isn't important that the incoming administration has to do. I think everything is important. But he was saying that building on what, President Muhammadu Buhari has done, the excellent job that has been done, that he was going to build on that. Now, I imagine a lot of people would have been wanting to see what his ideas are for security. Of course, the economy, creating jobs and all of that. But security first. Would you agree that that's uppermost on most people's minds?
Well, that's the most important critical segment in any society. When your society is not secured, there's nothing that can happen. And Asiwaju has taken it very key to making sure that he sustain and improve on the Buhari administration's gains. And part of what he has planned to use is technology, and of course being very prudent, and to increase the morals and welfare of the officers and men of the Nigerian military and other paramilitary group. He has also said that a lot of these weapons, light weapons, will be produced in Nigeria. So that removed the dollar dependency in it, and that will also attract a lot of investors to come in, especially to take opportunity of that platform. And for companies who have engage themselves in that kind of business, it also means that it's more business for them. It means that we will have more equipment to equip our officers and men to tackle this problem of insecurity.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back and ask a question on that, but I also wanted to quickly highlight to the ambassador that looking through Asiwaju's plan, foreign policy is, also something that is going to be taken care of. That, well, every president takes care of foreign policy, but he did mention a key point of foreign policy as well. Whereas most Nigerians, are probably starting off where I started off with security, then they'll want to go to, jobs and maybe, the economy. But how significant is him, as it were, zeroing in on foreign policy?
Oh, thank you very much for this question. But before I come to foreign policy, let me just also, because I know quite a lot of people are listening and they want to hear what I want to say. First of all, you talked about security. This document by Bola Ahmed Tinubu Shetima campaign described national security as the bedrock of a prosperous and democratic society. And security is a very important element of democracy. And for this economy to continue to thrive, we must address national security because it has become very important, not just for Nigeria, but even for our neighboring countries. And this is a challenge that quite a lot of economies in the world are facing today. What has happened between 2015 and now is that there has been transformation. There has been various challenges that are cropping up, as a result of security. Initially, it was about the bandits or terrorists taking over some parts of the country. Now, it has moved to, kidnapping, it has moved to banditry and quite a lot. So clearly, there is a need for this incoming administration to look at how these security issues has been modified over time and try also to find a way to tackle it head on and also find some other ways of preventing it However, security issues are issues relating to unemployment. There are issues relating to equity. There are issues relating to all kinds of security issues. There are people that are saying we don't have jobs, we don't have this and all of that. And that also takes me to the next point where it has become important for our state governors and every other stakeholder in the project Nigeria to also ensure that the local governments are working. Because security is not just an issue of the military, it's not just an issue of the police. It's also an issue where the local government people, everybody will get involved and ensure that they do everything possible to ensure that people are employed at the local level. So and of course, you heard Asiwaju talk about the continuation of President Muhammadu Buhari's policy. One of the policies that has been good for this administration is that of local government autonomy, which most governors are not implementing. Everybody looks at federal government as though part of all the problems are from federal government, but there are issues that also relate to the state and local governments. If the local government autonomy is implemented by the state governors, you will find out that monies directly from Abuja will go to the local government directly, and the people at the local government level will ensure that there is security at that local level. So part of the challenge we are seeing now is also the failure of the local government system, practically masterminded by the state governors. Now, let me leave this at this point because I know I'll still come back to some of these issues.
Maybe Ambassador, maybe I could come back. But I want to thank you very much for that opening gambit. You covered quite a bit of ground. So I'll come back to you. I'm sure you want to get to the question of, how important is foreign policy to our situation the way we are seeing in Africa. I'm sure you want to talk about that. But thank you very much for starting off where you did because of the importance of it. And in this relation, Comrade Ayodele Adewale, the ambassador was picking up on, you can't just put everything on the federal government. The local governments, for instance, they have a key role to play. I'm interested, I think Asiwaju and the whole team, they must also be knowing all of this and be seeing all of this, because he spoke about there's a certain word in there, inclusiveness, that we're going to be running an administration of inclusiveness. Now, I don't know that anybody runs one of exclusiveness, but that he thought it worthy of mention that we're going to be inclusive. There was a matter of a shared prosperity as a goal. Would you like to comment on that in relation, the shared inclusiveness that Asiwaju spoke about in relation to the points that the ambassador has made?
Well, I will speak to the document because I have it here,
Sure.
so I won't dovetail outside
The 800 page,
content
the 80 page.
yes, of the document. When you talk about inclusiveness, he talked about divulging powers, to the states and local government, creating more powers.
The document, by the way, Renewed Hope 2023.
Yes. This is the document. This is the document. So he talked about divulging powers more to the local government, more to the state government, helping them to really function as they should. And he also talked about reworking many of our laws through the National Assembly. He did talk about creating more opportunities for youth. He said within the cabinet, you're going to have youth between the age of 40 downwards to occupy about 3 to 6 seats. Then you're going to have young people within the age of 50 downwards to also be in the Federal Executive Cabinet. That has never happened before. He did talk about women, giving more powers to women, making sure that he reworked the Nigerian laws to accommodate 35% for women to be inclusive in the developmental structure of the country, in the economy, in governance, and all whatnot. I think these are ways of bringing people together so that we can journey together to develop our space.
I think that's a very important part because I've been told that as a result of the kind of male-dominated kind of thinking in certain parts of the world, that those who do that actually, shortchanging themselves of a massive bank of talent and capabilities simply because they have the attitude. But this is a modern era. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is a modern leader. He has his eyes on all of this, so I have no doubt that he's going to work it. Where he was able to work it in the past, we've seen, have we not, overtures of this kind of an attitude. Now to go back to Ambassador Elijah Onyeagba, the question I asked, would you like to address that now, please? The matter of Nigeria and this whole matter of foreign policy.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I am happy to address this issue because as an envoy, as a Nigerian diplomat, it's important to understand what every candidate in this election is coming with as far as foreign policy is concerned. Foreign policy basically is how you drive your domestic policy objectives in the international arena. It's important that we understand that for the President Muhammadu Buhari government, Africa is the centerpiece of our foreign policy. And he's made it in such a way that Nigeria is respected within African continent. And we also do not interfere with the internal affairs of whatever that's happening in any country. This has become very important for us because you want to be sure that whatever policy objective you have in your country, whether it's attracting investors, whether it is a recovery of looted funds, whether it is fighting corruption, whether it's in the area of ensuring that your military is strengthened, it has to be clear-cut. And you see that a section of this Bola Tinubu's campaign document called Renewed Hope was devoted to foreign policy. And there are a couple of issues that he has raised. He said he wants to pursue active diplomacy to end conflict within the sub-Saharan Africa, especially within the West African region. He talked about pursuing it within ECOWAS to work to increase internal sub-regional trade, to promote joint industrialization and joint infrastructural projects. Already, you know that Nigeria is a signatory to the Africa Free Trade Area. What is AfTA about? You find out that most times it's a challenge for Africa to trade with other African countries. Intra-African trade is a big issue. But what he's saying here is that he's going to ensure that there is that increased trade between Africa within the African continent. This same argument can also be taken even to the United Nations. It can be taken also to other subnationals to try as much as possible to understand what is going on or what policy trust of governments are locally. So that at every particular point in time, you see when President Buhari was pursuing his, it was very clear that every meeting he attended at the United Nations, at the African Union, that he talked about recovery of stolen wealth from Africa. He talked about recovery of the monies that has been, filtered away from this country, that are in Switzerland, that are in America. And you can see that there were a conscious effort to recover those funds. And he did quite recover a lot from, from most of this, from the West and from the European countries where these resources are stashed away. And of course, within the African continent, you see, our policy, for example, within our neighbors is that, at every particular point in time, we need to be in a position to assist them. Because if your neighbor is having a problem, you will also have a problem. It's just a matter of time. We know the challenges across the, Niger, Cameroon, and all of these areas. And that's why sometimes Nigeria goes to the extent of trying to assist them with things like security, things like infrastructure, just to ensure that we maintain peace within our neighbors. And the same thing also goes to Africa. Don't forget that one out of every 5 Africans is in Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populous black nation on the earth. Not to talk about when you consider the fact that a lot of these people are young people at the same time. So it's important that we carry ourselves and we let the world understand our posture. Asiwaju has also talked about the fact that he would do a lot to also stop immigration of people. You see our doctors is become a challenge for us these days, because we train doctors and before you know it, they're out working in America or out working in Europe and all of that. He said, listen, we'll sit down and find a way to improve our medical system. We'll sit down and find a way to make the doctors or these people that are immigrating find it attractive to stay at home. And what can you do for them? You need to look at the salary structure. You need to find a way to ensure that they are paid according to their performance. You also need to find a way to provide the mortgage facilities. I took my time to read through this renewed hope document, and I'm encouraging Nigerians to try and take time to read it, because this is the only thing we can use to hold the government of Asiwaju responsible when it comes on board. And I'm quite confident that all of these issues he talked about will be vigorously followed. Under the foreign policy, there are about 20 points or thereabouts that is going to be the thrust of his the foreign policy of his incoming government. So I think that these are areas that I believe that every candidate running for this election should be clear on what their foreign policies are, and we will be here toe-to-toe trying to analyze these issues and trying to be able to point out the fact that we believe and we hope that what the Renewed Hope document has presented to us is the way to go for Nigeria at this particular point in time.
Thank you, Ambassador. Well, comrade, whoever emerges as the winner and the president, he's coming in. That person will be coming in at a very challenging time. Here we are. We're talking about food inflation. First of all, there's inflation. Then there's food inflation. Things are, of course, the security is it is the way it is, even though we hear that it has improved. But any way you look at it, it's going to be challenging. Now, I think everybody, you yourself, you're actually a candidate in the 2023 election.
No, I'm not.
You're not?
No, I'm not.
How? Okay.
It's a different scenario. Let's continue.
Oh, okay. Things happen in politics. I mean, 24 hours is a long time in politics. But, this whole, the point I was making, though, because what I was going to say when I brought in the matter of candidature is that, generally speaking now, it would appear all candidates under APC have the broad outlines, the very, very broad outlines. Of course, this refers to the presidential, and I imagine that variations of that, tailored down and not at variance with his objective, is what every other contestant will also be seeking to interpret. So the question was, in these hard times, I suppose he's going to have to persuade Nigeria that he has the thinking, he has the ideas that, look, trust me, follow me, and these problems, because a lot of our people, the people who are in the majority, I'm not talking about the eggheads in the universities, the people who are in the majority, they just see the hardships. The petrol is threatening to go up. There are no jobs. I can't feed properly, because those are the things that people are going to want answers to. So what are you going to do for us, sir?
Well, you see, hard men with hard thinking and hard solutions are required for this kind of hard job. And Asiwaju is someone that has his hands on the plow. And the beauty of it is that by the time he wins the election, he's going to be passing on the baton. So you're going to see increase in speed, an increase in reformulation of policies, implementations of programs. It's not going to be starting from the start point. It's only going to continue the race and make it better. You've talked about the economy. You've talked about agriculture. For instance, Asiwaju has said in his document he's going to deploy more of technology to agriculture. He's going to provide more of infrastructure in terms of roads from farm to the end user. And he's going to also make agriculture so exciting that a lot of people will go into manufacturing, production, and all whatnot. And he's going to make sure that Nigeria comes first, because many of these produce that will be derived from all of these programs will first go to Nigerians. And he has also talked about building silos and increasing the storage bank of the Nigerian food capacity, so as to make sure that they are off-takers, to take it out from the farmers, and of course give them in exchange prosperity for what they have embarked on. So these are things that will improve our system. He also spoke about industrialization.
Indeed.
And
but can I come back to you, please? I'm so sorry. And that's because Mazi Okoroafo has come on the line. Good morning to you, Mazi Okoroafo in Arochukwu.
Good morning, sir. You're a good man, our guests in the studio and our guests on Sky. You see, the booklet has stated everything. So Nigerian youth, wherever they are, whether they are 774 local government or community-based, they should try as much as possible and master that area that belongs to them. Because we know very well that youth in Nigeria that dominates the majority. Before we talk about, you do both female and male. So when the youth gather this thing and know something, they should do what? Sell the manifesto that belongs to them. So that when that time comes by 2023, they know exactly where they are going. So that this document has shown that this is what you should be asking for come 2023, that this is what you have been stated to. So Nigerian youth, wherever you are, whether in the urban area or community level or village level, try as much as possible and master it and know exactly this is where you are going, this is what you will be benefiting come 2023. Let nobody deceive you, but this one is the document that you keep it in their house, maybe wait at least you master it and exactly. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you very much, Mazi. Renewed Hope 2023. It reminds you of the word hope, as a major title in a previous campaign. I think that was Hope 93.
Hope 93, MK Abiola.
That MK Abiola. Now we have Renewed Hope 2023.